Warrington were able to do is force Saints into taking kicks and
Those
keeping
points,
it close
yeah.
enough and keeping it so that they had a chance. That's what Wire were able
And
to do.
there was certainly one of the three where they had good numbers on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And I was sort of screaming and just put it down the left. But they obviously weren't confident to be able to execute that play. And he was just like, oh, sod it, I'll slot a drop goal over, keep it moving, which is the right play to do sometimes. But when you've got those numbers, they could easily have got 6 points out of that. On to Johnny Lomax, my last sort of point. And the blood-curdling scream he gave just told me he wasn't fit to continue that game. And I think if it had been any other game, we'd been off and changed before full time.
If Theo Farge was on the bench,
yeah.
So the stats,
and I'm sort of surprised in a way they didn't just force Wilkin back there and take him off.
But they needed. This is the thing I was saying. They needed more ball players on the pitch. They didn't need to take a ball player off the pitch. They needed more on the pitch because they needed to have some way of making that Warrington defence get confused with who's the ball going to where. But that never really happened. I didn't see any of those trademark Percival runs where he crabs across the field. I didn't really see any out the back plays. There was one play early-ish on where they got around the sort of Zebtea position and caused a bit of confusion, but then the ball went back on the inside and absolutely no one supported Lomax, if I remember it right. So stats, right? More carries, 304 metres, 2.3% better team tackle success, 4 fewer handling errors, 5 fewer penalty conceded. The stats don't really explain why Saints lost this game. Warrington did make 2 more breaks and scored 2 more tries, but they'll want to tidy up their 11 errors and 12 penalties ahead of Old Trafford. That all talks to me about the intangibles of this Warrington side, and something in there that I wasn't sure they had. It was that organisation in defence that no one was willing to let the bloke next to them down at any stage in defence, and that forced St Helens into kicking goals to be their only way of scoring points. And ultimately, that's what made them pay, because Warrington didn't go down that line. Warrington tried to actually score some tries.
Yeah.
Get the ball out to their wide men.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So, do you want to take us through the individual stats whilst I have a bit of tea?
Yeah. So Tom Lynham, 2 tries, 8 tackle busts, 168 metres, 3 clean breaks. Bryson Goodwin, 2 try assists, 7 tackle busts, 126 metres. Jack Hughes, 1 try, and what a crucial one it was, 51 tackles and 10 marker tackles. Darryl Clark, as you'd expect, 56 tackles. In terms of on the losing side, Luke Douglas made 1 try, 10 marker tackles and 123 metres. James Roby, despite coming from the bench, still made 42 tackles, 11 of those from marker and 107 metres. Luke Thompson, 191 metres, which is ridiculous. And Tommy Makinson, 6 tackle busts, 121 metres. 191 metres as a prop forward.
Well, just rampaging as well and relentless. And there was a period in that middle of that second half where I thought, when he came back on for his second spell, I thought this is it for Warrington. And they clung in, they defended their goal line heroically, and they forced Saints into drop goals.
Yeah.
Basically. Friday night's game then. Wigan versus Castleford. It was 7-0 to the Warriors at half-time. It finished 14-0 at full-time, so 7-0 in each half. 13,461 were there. Ben Thaler was the referee. Again, we'll talk about crowds later.
And I get Carsten to start with.
You do, yeah.
Awful first 10 minutes, but then Wigan started to play. Excellent defence by the Warriors and a very average kicking and attacking game from Cass. Luke Gale with a howler of a game, grubby tackles and was disrespectful to the ref. Definitely was. Can he change his name to Luke Slater? Let's now hear from #refsfault, aka Fatboy_Rob.
I think he was alright, actually, to be honest. Give him credit.
I think he was better.
Rob was a good a good loser in this game. I think overall. Adam the Wire said, "I thought Wigan game managed really well throughout. Castleford didn't have any leadership on the pitch and let themselves down with too many penalties. I think we're in for an entertaining grand final." Yeah, thanks for that one, Adam the Wire. You're a new name on me. Make sure you keep up the contributions.
Yeah, let us know what you think about your own team games as well. We're always wanting to hear that. Tom Andrews says, much less enjoyable than the Friday night. Obviously, it was the Thursday night game. Cass never showed up, which is a shame because the away support was excellent.
Yeah, it was.
Think the game was very well handled by failure.
That's you. That's on you, not Tom. That.
When a lesser referee could have totally lost control at times. Reckon Wigan will win it next week. Won't be attending this year due to work. Been to 12 for the last 13. Hope the SL family have a great meet-up. Hopefully catch one next year. Definitely would love to meet you, Tom.
Certainly he's been one of the emerging stars of the SLP family in the second half of this season, that's for sure. If not slightly outshadowed in recent weeks by his other half. Christine Holden at Nick00teen at St Wigan said, "Watching the match tonight, my nerves were frazzled. Wigan's defence was fantastic and all the players did well across the board with some fantastic defence and tackles from Manfredi, Luluai, Flower, Powell and Batty. Against Wire, we need to neutralise the Wire mullet, Rashford and Goodwin for kick plays. Watch BMM near the line. Bring it on. Wigan are warriors."
There we go. Mark Butler said, a Sean Wayne team will always make you admire it rather than love it, but they did what they need to do. I'm not sure. Do you love this? Do you love this team? I think you could love this team.
I absolutely love this team. That we'll get on to.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say it now. There's an attitude in this team. There's a desire and a fight that is not a filthy, dirty, grubby fire and desire.
It's edge, but it's not over the line.
Yeah, it's really not. And there's just moments in every game that there's people in that cherry and white shirt where I'm absolutely in love. I mean, Tommy Luluai, with his granite shoulder, is good for one big hit every single game, and there's one in the middle of the second half of this game.
And he's almost the forgotten man of that team as well, Tommy Luluai.
And then you've got someone like Oliver Gildart shifted to the position that he's not really played in at all in his career in the right centre. Now, early on this year, people were calling him a bit for making a few rash defensive decisions, but in this game, I mean, Michael Shenton didn't have a chance to beat him, did he? Oliver Gildart completely controlled him. Even if he didn't always fully complete every tackle, he pacified every threat. So it didn't matter that someone else was going to be there to clean it up. They worked for each other relentlessly as well. And I just think everyone in this game did their jobs. It's like I don't really like the New England Patriots, and I think that's what everyone thinks about. Maybe the Wigan Warriors under Sean Wayne. To me, they're the New England Patriots under Bill Belichick. In that, they're not always they've got one or two absolute world class players, and then around that are all really, really hard working players who do their jobs, and that's the mantra: do your job. And that's what this team did. They did their job, and I can't say how much I absolutely love people like Tom Davies, people like Ben Flower, people like Romain Navarrete, people like Tony Clubb, who just do their jobs. Anyway, who's next?
We can finish Mark's, actually. We only got one line in. I was so disappointed with Cass. Although they had tough periods, they also had opportunities, but they pissed every single one of them up the wall, while Wigan were far cleaner and more streetwise and basically looked like real winners.
White Pie, Lee said, "Well, what can you say? The most dominant Wigan defensive performance I've seen since 2010-2011 under Maguire. The most pleasing thing was keeping the former not really champions scoreless, and we could have played until midnight and we wouldn't have let them score. Case in point, Eden being smashed into touch twice when he usually would have scored. Just hope we can repeat that against the Wolves next week. See you all at Old Trafford."
Damn yes, right. Lee. Do come along. Tom Eckley said, just when he thought it was over, the Warrington-Wigan saga continues into match day 6, because why not?
I thought we'd settled the series. I thought Josh Woods had settled the series. Cutthroat Jake said, "What is it with Castleford at this time
You mean Kitthroat Jake?"
What? Yeah, he typoed.
He's gone South African. Kid Fred. Kid Fred.
No, Alan, you can't. What is it with Castleford at this time of year? That was as bad a performance as their lacklustre outing in the grand final, only this time they can't blame Zach Hardacre.
Oh, don't worry, he's going to overshadow grand final week somehow.
Well, he's got his court case coming, so yeah.
Yeah. David Lawrenson said, I always want to do a match review and offer an insightful perspective of the game, but when I watch Wigan, my vision becomes cherry and white tinted. I'm 100% biased. We will miss Wayne and Tompkins much more than Bateman. Who replaces Sean O'Loughlin? Please, can Escray be given a chance? And Manfredi will be the world's best winger in 12 months and playing in the NRL 12 months after that.
I like David. I respect his opinion. We seem to disagree slightly quite often. I do agree that we're going to miss Tompkins more than we're going to miss Bateman. Personally, if I'm completely honest. In terms of who replaces Sean O'Loughlin, did everyone watch Liam Farrell's performance in this game? Because Liam Farrell did that passing thing, that Sean O'Loughlin.
He did that. Take a slight step to his left and then release kind of thing.
He probably
is an O'Loughlin trademark.
Yeah, he didn't take it quite into the teeth of the line as much as O'Loughlin would, but he did something more than I think. He did it with a better direction and accuracy and crispness than any of our other forwards do. He consistently made meters and doesn't miss tackles in the middle there when he came on and played in there. Did Liam Farrell. So I'm wondering if we've got a new Farrell 13 coming our way, down the way, David. But I agree with him about Tompkins. Tompkins was very controlling in this game as well. Bateman, give him the ball, he'll do something sort of thing. But Tompkins organised everything, and Tompkins is so crucial to our defence. People don't realise that, and he's calling for Escray being given a chance. Now, Escray, exciting as he is, one thing he doesn't do is organise and get in the right position defensively, like Sam Tompkins has done so much this season. And the bedrock of this defensive performance is a fullback who understands where everyone's supposed to be and gets them there. And then on top of that, the commitment and dedication to each other to fix up any breaks, any problems like that. But yeah, it feels. But thanks for David for that one. Fatboy_Rob said, hugely disappointed end to another great season. Wigan were just too strong defensively and too smart for us to break them down. Normally conceding 7 points a half would mean a win for Cass, but we just dropped too much ball and gave away silly penalties, some legit winky face. McShane spilling it over the line summed up the night. I have to say, credit where credit's due. The Cass fans were awesome. See you all next year.
Yeah, POB 1976 said, Castleford, not at their best tonight. Wigan did what they needed and won the game, but we'll have to play much better next week.
I think if we defend like we defended, then Paul Chamberlain said, Cass were pants, Wigan were quite good. Right, I feel bad, Tim, like I was starting to say before. I feel bad because all we kind of talked about is how Saints were crap, and then all I've talked about is how Wigan were good. Sadly, with the me and David both having cherry and white tinted spectacles, that's where my mind goes on these events. So maybe you can sum things up as a neutral. I don't know.
There's a few incidents that came out that, particularly from a Cass point, which looked like they'd mentally lost it to me. First one being the Gale penalty, and I think he was lucky to get away with a penalty there, and I wouldn't have blamed Ben Failer for sending him to the sin bin, either for the offence or for just the chirping afterwards.
Yeah,
I think it'd be very easy if the ref just said, "Oh, sod off." Then there's a yellow card. Go and sit down till you can behave yourself. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, that proved crucial because it was the resulting penalty that led to that first try. And one of the notes I've written is, I think Milner showed why he shouldn't play for England. I just don't see it. It's just this player. I do not see how is he in the England squad?
I don't see what he offers in the game, didn't he?
And he just looked shot as much as anything, and he just didn't have the concentration to keep in the game. And I don't know if that's a physical thing or if it's a mental thing, but he just didn't look there. And then the penalty. And I've just written needless penalty about 3 times as well.
I think there were a couple both ways, but mostly from Cat.
Greg Eden's another one who, again, I mean, I'm not the biggest Greg Eden fan, but it just disappeared when it. Okay, just where was he? Did he even play in this game? Did he do